But I use the senior management IBM IQ test for rank and file. I don't use it for senior, because I want them, you know, in our, what do we have to have, 70 to pass for us to hire them?
Depends on the position, sir, but for higher management, it's 85%.
85, okay. And lower is 70?
70, and then the lowest is 60.
Okay. And we've tried a lot of different ones, but I would rather them be too smart for the position than not smart enough for the position.
Do you have something like a curiosity quotient as opposed to an IQ? Because you can be very smart, but if you're not curious, you're still lazy. You're still lazy.
No, I don't. No. And if you're just going to give them one test, and you want it to take less than 120 seconds, the success test on my site is the best test that I've found in almost 50 years. I mean, if you score well on that test, you'll score well on just about any other kind of test. It's 16 questions, and it's either one or two answers. I mean, and as you've heard me say, -3 is a perfect score. And even though the legend says that if you got less than 5, you're okay, the psychologists and psychiatrists from Boston College that made up the test years ago say that if you got 5 or less, it's okay. It was not okay. In my judgment, if you're worse than maybe a 1 or a +1 or +2, that you're not willing to make the hard enough decisions to be successful. It's not a rocket to the moon, but it eliminates 85 to 90% of people. If a guy gets an 8 or 9 or a 10 on the test, it's, you know, whether he's in discussion with Allah or not, I mean, he's a lost cause.
What's the score again?
-3 is a perfect score. -3, -2, -1, 0, and 1 or 2 is still okay. Not up to 5 on my own site. I say up to 5 because I'm using the legend that the shrinks that wrote the test used. Over the years, I know that +5 is still too much work. And all the success test does is that means that you'll have less work to try to get the guy or the gal on the right track.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, if you have a -3 but more tend towards a pleasing personality, how does that work out?
Well, I mean, you can get on the right track, but you know, if you stay on the right track and you don't move, you get run over, Ray. So it'll tell whether you're on the right track, but it doesn't tell you if you're going to move on the right track. You know, a lot of you guys, and I use Simon as an example. Simon got all the shit done like it was a piece of cake in the initial stages. But he went down Tony's road, picking a hard motherfucker that he perceived as low-hanging fruit because he was mystified by the big numbers. You know, oh, fuck, is this easy? I'll get these big fucking numbers? Well, you know, and it wasn't easy. You know, it took him a long time, and he had to change it around and morph it. And but I mean, he'll tell you that you can get the board. I mean, he had a board bigger than General Motors to begin with. All high quality people. He had banks and all kind of shit, everything. But getting the deal done was a horse of a different color. But I would rather you start out like gangbusters and then figure out how to get the deal than not start out or not have a deal or want a deal or you're so engrossed in perhaps not the minutia of your industry that you think you want to do, but just the minutia of life. I mean, if you're bogged down with the minutia of life, it'll be very, very difficult to make this happen for yourself.
By profile, I mean, when you size up a person, you don't have the luxury to have him fill out the test. So you have pleasers, profile yourself, and consensus builder. What other aspect do you look at?
How they dress? Do they feel important enough to look well? You only have one time to make a first impression. I mean, that's very old school, very cliche, but it's the goddamn truth. If they come looking like a pig, and I understand the tech guys, they dress like pigs, and pigs to me. So maybe not pigs to you, but I mean, there is a life beyond T-shirts and jeans. I mean, there just is, guys. And
when they are employees to you, don't you want them to please you? So to do what?
no. Please, I want them to please themselves. I want them to get used to, looking the part. Okay, if you're a acid hard rock guy like in the Rolling Stones or whatever, okay, I understand the look. But that's not what anybody else does. There are guys that dress like that, look like that, want to be like that, and they can't string a guitar or they can't carry a note. So why would you want to look like that genre, if you're not going to make any money at looking like that? It's one thing you want to look. If you get paid a lot of money to look like a freak, Allah be with you.
No, I don't mean look. I mean, we say we don't want pleasers and we don't want to be pleasers, but in fact, if we employ people, we want.
No, I don't want people to please me, but I want people to represent me. See, people that work for me represent me, so that means I want them to look professional. If you don't want to look professional, don't come work for anything that Dan's got anything to do with. It's very simple.
Yeah, but if they're selfish, their self-interest would be to perform well at the job.
Yeah, but I mean, if a person isn't proud of how they look, they're not going to perform well at the job. And that's why so many of the computer geeks, you can argue if they're performing well, really performing well, because nobody's watching them. Other than the keystroke guys that are watching them because of the strokes that they hit on the computer. That's why there's so many people that are more comfortable with economic models that they don't have to interface with anybody. They don't have to look at anybody, and nobody can see them. And that's why the communication skills are so poor, because they don't have to talk. All they have to do is email. Or the other electronic methods of communication. Now, if I had been raised 40 years later, would my communication skills be as good as they are? If I was able to give all those speeches I gave on a telescreen, okay? Well, I'm getting not much feedback because there's nobody in front of me. Would my communication skills be as good as when I was at the Houston Petroleum Club and they threw fucking rolls at me? No, I don't think so. I know so that my communication skills wouldn't be anywhere near as good. But I mean, everybody in this room, even the ones that have the poorest communication skills, still have plenty good communication skills to make this work. And I told you my story about Lord Baring, and when I gave him the presentation, and I started the presentation, Lord Baring, Mr. Gunn, and it's because he told me the months before that I was just too slick. He didn't use those words, but the implication was I was too smooth. I had an answer for everything. I had an answer before they even finished the question. And I changed. I changed my presentation style. And it's hard for me to listen to somebody that I think is an idiot, and let him, I'm wasting time letting him finish the question. Why not answer the question before he finishes it, and then we can get on to something, And when I was in the military, General Roy Atterbury, the guy you've heard me talk about, he didn't let me, if I was asking a dumb question in his judgment, which was often, he would just cut me short and, this is the answer, Pina. And then we'd move on. And that's where I learned to put everything on a page. If you can't explain it on a page in concept, then, something's not right. Either you don't understand it, and here you're trying to convince me of it. And again, remember, when people say no to you, it's not because they don't necessarily like the concept or the idea. It's because you're not giving them enough information to say yes. My own kids have turned that on me many times. Well, Daddy, I'll have more information. We'll talk about this again. And they go back and get more information. And occasionally they do sell me, but not that often. But looks, speech, handshake, grooming, cleanliness, these are all things that are given in my generation. They're just given. They're not givens in this generation. They're just not givens. You know, I've been in meetings to, I think I told a story about 5-6 years ago, no, maybe more, 10 years ago, when I was running my own fund. Sally and I and Jeremy Knight showed up for a meeting, and there was a guy there who had the next Facebook, I forget what the fuck it was, something. And he said, he was wearing a t-shirt, and it was just when the hair, you know, when you start wearing the hair, like it looks uncombed, you know, the spiky kind of thing. And he said, and he looked at Sally and he said, when was the last wet t-shirt contest you won? Everybody understand that? When was the last wet t-shirt contest that you won? Meaning that, you know, when you go into these bars and stuff, they pour water on the girls with big tits and you can see their boobs through the wet t-shirt. This is a guy trying to get money from us. When was the last wet t-shirt contest that you won?
Next.
Yeah, well, no, it was a little more than next, but I mean, because I got slightly aggressive, but now what possibly could be running through the fucking idiot's brain?
He's an idiot and wants to make a compliment.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was telling Sally, oh, you're a stacked, good-looking bitch. I mean, with big tits is what I think he was trying to say. But I would have liked that better than the wet t-shirt thing. But so I mean, it sounds almost unbelievable that somebody would say that to you in a meeting at a big law firm. The lawyers at the fucking table just I thought they were going to defecate themselves. I mean, they just, you know, they're all thinking embarrassed. They all, you know, and they set up the meeting. You know, when was the last wet t-shirt contest? Probably the fuck's probably listening to me on YouTube now. But he went on to raise money. And about a year and a half ago, he came back to me with another deal on top of it. He emailed me, you remember me, I'm so-and-so, and da-da-da. And I said, oh, yeah, I remember you, kid. I didn't say this, I'm reading. And he says, well, I've got another opportunity that you might be interested in. So, but the kids, you know, the kids are, and we've all, well, some of you are still kids. And, you know, contrary to what you think, I was once a kid. It's hard to believe now, but I was. And, but I tell them, when I was 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, either the brain cells have shrunk in the kids, but I was a lot fucking more savvy, smarter, cunning, whatever the word, forget intelligent, than the kids today. And even though I went out and did stuff that, you know, I wouldn't went on YouTube, I certainly didn't do it in the preponderance that the kids do it now. And if there was a YouTube, I sure as fuck wouldn't be putting it on television. I sure as hell wouldn't be putting it on television. On that happy note, Happy New Year again. We'll talk to you later, YouTube. Thank you very much.